A couple of people may have heard of this guy. I'm talking to Tommy James. Tommy James, how you doing, my friend?
How you doing? It's great talking to you, Bob.
I am doing all right. So glad to have you here with us on the phone today. And
my pleasure, believe me.
Live radio, baby. This is the way to do it.
I love it.
I do want to apologize because you were born in Ohio, and Penn State kind of stomped Ohio this week.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is very
sorry,
true.
not sorry.
Well, it's like I told you, I was born in Ohio,
Right.
I was raised in Michigan, and my career started in Pennsylvania, so I'm doing the Interstate 80 tour.
There you go. In fact, you are going to be right next to Interstate 80. Williamsport, we're talking, coming up on Friday night, as a matter of fact, at the Community
That's
Arts
right.
Center there. That's going to be a great show.
It's going to be fun, and I always love coming back to Pennsylvania. It's where it all started for me. And, it's my old stomping ground. And we're really looking forward. The crowds in Pennsylvania are always a little wilder than everywhere else. I'm not sure why.
We don't get out much.
I guess that's what it is. It's all that pent-up stuff,
That's
you know?
That's it. Now, you, when did you start an interest in music? You started real young.
Oh, I was a little tiny kid when I started playing, believe it or not, the ukulele when I was 4 years old.
Yeah, and there's an interesting story behind that. You got that ukulele because of Elvis in a sort of non-direct way.
First, I started playing the ukulele, and when Elvis came on in '56, I saw him on TV. I was 9 years old, and the ukulele went out the window. I needed a guitar, so I got a guitar right then and there, and been playing ever since. Badly, but I've been playing.
Well, it can't be too bad. You have a heck of a career. So Elvis, that's when everybody, I think, in those days decided that they wanted to be a rock and roll star.
Yeah,
seen that.
After Elvis, it was a job possibility. You know what I mean?
Right. So who are your biggest influences there, Tommy?
Well, of course, Elvis, and then the first generation of rock and rollers, Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran, and, the Everly Brothers, and Jerry Lee Lewis, and all those guys. And then, of course, when I was 12 years old, I started actually playing in a group.
Yeah.
Somebody actually paid me for doing this. I couldn't believe it. And then when I was, we had recorded Hanky Panky, my first hit record,
right,
when I was 16 in a radio studio in Niles, Michigan, my real hometown. Then when I was 18, right out of high school, suddenly the record just exploded out of Pittsburgh. Really, it was a miracle. Nobody expected it. Just out of nowhere, DJs started playing the record, and they bootlegged 80,000 of them.
Yeah,
and sold them, and that began my career, believe it or not, right in Pittsburgh.
There's definitely a difference in the sound from Hanky Panky to some of your later stuff, of course, and but that's a great record. That is the rock and roll classic, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know something, it really was such a lousy little record in so many ways, but it was one of those ultra garage band sounds that we recorded at mono. I don't think you could. I've tried to duplicate it, and you can never get it to sound quite that bad.
Right.
I've tried, believe me, I've tried. And so then we started. Of course, when it exploded out of Pittsburgh, we then went to New York and sold the master to Roulette. They made Hanky Panky the #1 record of the summer of '66, and so we've been going for 50 years, believe it or not.
So what was it like to be on top of the pile, on top of the world, so to speak, in the '60s?
Well, I'll tell you, the '60s were a wonderful time to make it because all the ducks were in a row. Radio was they were all looking for the next big act, and TV was working with radio. All of the every other week there was a new batch of records. There were there's about 300-400 record companies in New York that you could have hits with. I mean, everything was really cooking, and it was creative. So, and plus you had 50 million baby boomers on the street out of high school with money in their pocket, which fueled the whole thing. So it was really an amazing moment.
Now, the Shondells, they're based out of Pittsburgh. The Shondells that you
That's
had
right.
Well,
when I came to Pittsburgh, of course, the name of the group from my high school years was the Shondells. So when I came to, it was what was on the record, and so when I came to Pittsburgh, I sort of, I went into a club one night and saw a group that I really liked and asked them if they wanted to be the Shondells, and they said yes. And a week later, we were in New York. That's how fast it all happened.
You say in your book, it's called Me, the Mob, and the Music here, and you say in the book that you've met a lot of memorable musicians, artists, things like that, and there was a couple that were kind of like,
Well, the reason for the provocative title, Me, the Mob, and the Music, is because when we went to New York and got involved with Roulette, we had no idea what Roulette was involved in. It turns out Roulette Records, where we had the bulk of our hits, was a front for the Genovese crime family in New York, and we didn't know. Of course, we couldn't even talk about that.
Right. You want a record?
So that was very interesting. Us trying to have a career in rock and roll with this sinister story going on behind us. The book is being turned into a movie now.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
We are really honored and flattered by that. Barbara DeFina is producing it, who produced Goodfellas and Casino and Hugo a couple of years with Martin Scorsese. She's just got an amazing track record of great movies. And Matthew Stone has just done the screenplay. And so the director is coming on board now, and we are going to we're talking about another 24 months before things really, because they're going to start casting and all that. So that's really an amazing thing going on now.
Who are you looking for to play you? Brad Pitt, maybe?
Oh God, I am the worst one to ask. That's one I got to leave up to the grown-ups. I'm way too close to it.
Well, that's cool, man. Me, the Mob, and the Music. One hell of a ride with Tommy James and the Shondells. And this is an awesome book. And I basically leafed through it a little bit, and I'm really anxious to actually sit down and give it a complete read. Now, why did you decide to write a book?
Well, for years I've been asked to write memoirs and stuff. But when we started writing the book, myself and Martin Fitzpatrick, my co-author, we were going to call it Crimson and Clover, and we were going to make it a book about being in the studio and about how the songs got written and stuff. But we got about a third of the way through it and said, if we don't tell the whole story, the Roulette story, we're cheating ourselves and everybody else.
Yeah.
But I was very nervous about finishing the book at that point because a lot of these guys were still walking around. We put it on a shelf for about 3 years, and then finally the rest of the Roulette regulars, as I called them, passed on, and we felt we could finish the story.
Yeah. You don't want to be upsetting anybody at that point.
No.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. Now, you've got this. Let me ask you a couple of questions here that some listeners have asked of you,
sure.
And then we'll get to your show coming up on Friday night. Dennis asked earlier, is there a new album, and is it available on vinyl?
Yeah, well, it's funny you ask. We are in the studio right now. We're about 2/3 of the way through a new album, our first studio album in almost 10 years. And yes, we're going to do a limited number on vinyl. We're going to do, vinyl's making a big comeback. It's really wild. The new album is called Alive. Well, we're kind of hung up between it. We call it I'm Alive or just Alive, but we're going to make that decision. And then it's got 8 brand new songs on it, and 4 of the songs are going to be like acoustic remakes of some of the hits. One of them, I think We're Alone Now, which the acoustic version is going to be in the movie. It's going to be the closing credits to the movie. And then we did a remake of Crystal Blue Persuasion acoustically and Dragging a Line. And so it's really an interesting bunch of songs. And then the 8 new songs, I think everybody's going to like. I really like these songs. That'll be out probably about March.
Cool. Now, the question with the title, do you get a lot of people, I didn't know you were alive?
Yes. Well, that's what I mean. If we just call it Alive, then we won't have to worry about that.
Hey, I didn't know you were still alive. How did the thing, so many people have covered your particular music. How did that work out for you? I know like Tiffany did that
sure.
song.
Well, we've had over 300 cover versions of our songs done by everyone from REM to the Boston Pops, you know.
Yeah, that's going to make you feel real good,
Yeah, well, Prince did a marvelous version of Crimson and Clover a couple of years ago, not too long, before he died. Mm-hmm. And we were very honored with that. He did a fantastic version. I did a version with Dolly Parton, believe it or not. And then we did, of course, REM did Dragging a Line for the Austin Powers movie. But I'm just very flattered and honored and very intrigued how other groups interpret your music. And it's always a big thrill to hear somebody that you wouldn't think of as like Dolly Parton doing Crimson and Clover. What was that? And she did it great. And she made the, Crimson and Clover over and over in the Fade. She made that the chorus. And she just kind of turned it around her way. And it's just interesting. Tom Jones did I'm Alive from the Crimson and Clover cover album last year. Oh man, it was just I'm just very very flattered when the songs are covered.
I know exactly what you're saying because I thought of that before. It's like, you know, you hear a different group doing a song that was a hit and they totally change it around. It's like, how do they come up with that? That's awesome.
That's right.
Now, Matt asks, any advice for young artists trying to make it in the business?
Yeah, boy. Wow. Well, one of the biggest challenges today is to get new music in front of the public. You know, the strange part is even though there's, you know, with all the mobile gadgets and everything, it's still very hard to get new music, brand new music, in front of the public for everybody, not just for young bands, but for everybody. I think the smartest way to go, and this is a little inside, but I think the smartest way to go is for a group to write, demo everything they have and get their 10 favorite songs on a demo of some kind of recording and go to a publishing company rather than go to a record company.
Right.
And the reason is the publishers are where, first of all, it's where the money is. The record companies are all broke and and they want you to do all the work for them.
Right.
And so the publishing companies can open doors up, get your songs in movies, and they can take you to a label, but they can also do all these other things. And to go in business like a 50-50 partnership with a publishing company, I think is the smartest way to go.
Yeah, you got to watch that because there's a lot of, I know back in the day, a lot of people got taken advantage of by record companies.
Including me.
Yeah. So you got to really be careful of your business tactics. If somebody's giving you the moon, then you got to wonder why.
Absolutely.
And finally, we got, and I know the answer to this. Ethel Lee called in. She said, "Are you going to sing Dragging the Line Friday night?"
You bet.
Yeah, of course you are. Why not?
You bet. We're gonna shake some hands. We always do a meet and greet with the fans after the show.
So the show's Friday night. We talked about it. Williamsport, Community Arts Center, 7:30. What does a current Tommy James show look like?
Well, of course, we do as many of the hits as we can cram into an hour, 20 minutes. And then a couple of new things. We do this brand new version of I Think We're Alone Now that I told you about, the slow acoustic version that's going to be in the movie. We'll probably do that live with acoustic guitars and a couple of maybe one or two other things. But it's going to be a fun night, and it's we always enjoy meeting the fans and hanging out after the show.
That's awesome. Now, if people want information about your music, your shows, your
sure, come to TommyJames.com or our Facebook page. And not hard to remember.
That's it. That's easy. Well, I appreciate you talking with us, and I thank you so much for taking the time. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Bob. It's great. Thanks for the plug.
No problem. I look forward to finishing up this book. It's got me intrigued.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, Tommy, have a great day. We'll see you Friday.
Take care, Bob.
All right, see ya. It's WOWY 97.1.